It's been a long time since I posted a video on this channel, but today I'm going to talk about the full cast Harry Potter series that just came out audiobook style on Audible. For the past 6 to 7 months, 1 month at a time, they've released each book of the Harry Potter series in audiobook fashion with a full cast, and I finally completed all of it, and I want to come on here and talk about it because it was so freaking amazing. Different background behind me. I'm in my office, and it's a different layout here. And I have my iPhone set up and I got my microphone going because nothing else works right. And I'm so excited to talk about these books. Like I said, I recently just went on the very long journey for 7 months and listened to all of the audiobooks for Harry Potter and the full cast series. And it was something amazing. I was a fan of the Harry Potter movies first, but now I'm a fan of the books too, and more so than the movies. Now, I love the movies, and I always will, but the way these audiobooks were created and how the cast and all the voice actors did their performance blew me away, and it was by far better than the movies. And that's kind of hard to say. For a while, I didn't think I was going to like them more than the movies. I mean, for me, this seemed impossible. But the cast they got for this, and, there are some pros and cons for the movies, and, some things I like better than the movie and some things I like better than the books. But after all is said and done, these books are just phenomenal. And the performances that were given from these actors were incredible. The first thing I want to talk about is the sound effects and immersion. In these books, you have the full cast audio performance. It's production. It's not just a regular narrator reading a book. The narrator is also incredible, but the sound effects between every scene, and even when they're just doing some fluff and they're just doing some description about what's going on in the story, you hear scuffles in the background or footsteps or, bats flying around or whatever it is. The music brings everything together, and the sound effects of everything puts you in that world. And if you have any sliver of imagination, when you listen to this, you're totally transported. You're there. It's like you're watching a movie in your head, and it's insane. Now, in the first book, I heard the music, and it wasn't John Williams' music from the first movie, the first few, and it threw me off. I was like, oh man, it doesn't sound like Harry Potter. I wasn't attached yet, and I don't think it took me until maybe like Chamber of Secrets, which was the second book. So a month later, to fully be like, you know what? It's its own thing. It's its own vibe. I can get on board with it. And by the 7th book, I was like, oh man. Every time I heard in the beginning of the book, like, oh, we're starting again. We're doing it again. We're getting to a new story. And the music was fine. It's its own version, and it was perfect. In the beginning, I wasn't fully on board with the narrator. And by the end of Sorcerer's Stone, I was locked in. Narrator was incredible and a fantastic reader from beginning to end. Now, the biggest section of this video, I'm going to talk about the acting. The acting that was done and the performances that were given in these audiobooks. We have some big names. We got Hugh Laurie, Kit Harington, Keira Knightley, all these people who played such big roles, and they did it flawlessly. I don't think there was one person who was a voice actor in these books that didn't do a good job. Everyone, from the main characters, all the kids that did the first 3, Harry, Hermione, and Ron, to the second 3, the older Harry, Hermione, and Ron, did an incredible job. Hugh Laurie for Dumbledore was a perfect pick. There was no one better for that. I never would have thought they would have just grabbed Hugh Laurie for that, and doing so, incredible choice. He gave some of the most emotional lines from the book such life. And even to the end of the story, and when he's like pleading for forgiveness for Harry in the 7th book, it's just, it gets you. And he does such a great job. Another actor was Simon Pegg, who did the voice of Arthur Weasley. Maybe one of my favorite. He was so good. And like Arthur Weasley isn't a very big part in the Harry Potter story, but he's like Harry's replacement father, just like Molly Weasley is. And Simon Pegg did an incredible job as him. And I'm going to keep saying words like incredible, amazing, fantastic, and awesome the entire time. Perfect, flawless, it's repetitive words. Also, a lot of names I'm going to butcher, like Liz Ahmed, I believe it's his name. Wasn't a huge fan of his, not because of any particular reason, just because he wasn't Alan Rickman. And then once I got into it further, I really enjoyed him as Snape. He did a great job as Snape. And definitely in the 6th book and in the 7th one, so good. So good. And he did his performance in the flashback when Harry's using the pensive. That whole performance from him, incredible. So good. The actor and actress who did Ron and Hermione, older versions, spot on. And actually both girls who did Hermione, young and older, sound just like Hermione. I thought it was Emma Watson. But the guy who did Ron, the older version, he sounded more Ron than Rupert Grint sounded like Ron, if you know what I mean. Guy who did Harry on both sides sounds nothing like Daniel Radcliffe, but he did an incredible job too. He sounded really good. Kit Harington as Professor Lockhart. Oh my gosh. That one really threw me for a loop. I didn't realize he was in the book, and then I heard his voice. I was like, wait a minute. And because he wasn't doing his like usual Jon Snow voice, right? I didn't notice who it was. So I had to look it up. I had to look up a lot of these people. I looked it up, and it was Kit Harington. He did Lockhart so well. And it felt just like from the movie. But like, with a little extra flair from Kit, of course. Keira Knightley, another one that I didn't pick up on. I didn't know. I had to look it up. Her as Professor Jane Umbridge. Oh my gosh. I can't stand that character. No one does. It's written perfectly, so you don't. She did it perfectly, so I don't like her. That was probably the best part. Order of the Phoenix, which I don't like Order of the Phoenix. Movie or book. It probably is my least favorite, but her performance did it spot on. She really made you dislike the character, which is good. You're supposed to. Mark Addy, Robert frickin' Baratheon, dude. Him as Hagrid, I thought, and I knew the original actor who played Hagrid in the movies had passed away. I thought that was frickin' him. He was the best performance, I think, out of this entire stuff, as far as like sounding just like the people from the movies. He sounded just like Hagrid. And I mean, he really gave you goosebumps in that first book, and how he cares for Harry and takes care of him and takes him from the Dursleys and everything. And he did that performance perfectly. Now, I'm going to butcher this name too. I think it's Ewan Rion. I could be wrong. The person who plays Lupin, also a Game of Thrones character. The person who plays Ramsay Bolton. Oh my gosh. He sounds just like the guy from Game of Thrones. He sounds just like Ramsay Bolton, which took me a while to get over because he's so insane in Game of Thrones that I couldn't get past it for a while. And I love Prisoner of Azkaban, so I'm like, I had to get over it. But after a while, and when he's telling the story of like him as a werewolf, him as Lupin is perfect. Another last name that I'm not going to pronounce right, I think it's Matthew McFadden. McFadden, perhaps. He's the Mr. Darcy from, which is kind of funny actually, the Mr. Darcy from the Keira Knightley Pride and Prejudice movie. He's also in Deadpool and Wolverine. He was the guy at the TVA. Him as Voldemort. Obviously, we all have Ralph Fiennes in our mind for doing Voldemort, but oh my gosh. Yeah, he was freaking awesome. Very quiet and crazy Draco Malfoy. Dude, that incredible. And he did the good part of like, as he goes on and he's getting crazier and crazier and more Horcruxes, and he's getting more vulnerable and closer to death, he's getting crazier and he's talking crazier. He did that performance flawlessly. And then honorable mentions, the two people who play Mr. and Mrs. Dursley, Vernon and Petunia. I did not know who they were. I know who they are, and I know characters they play and other stuff. One of them is actually another Game of Thrones character, but they were perfect. And when they started talking in the first book, that was the most I didn't know someone. I had to look them up, but I couldn't have even guessed who they were because of how different they talked. One that I forgot, and it is the best by far out of all of the voice actors, James McAvoy as Mad-Eye Moody / Barty Crouch Jr. I have not gone back and listened to a lot of parts in the books after I finished the book. I've listened to the end chapter. I think it's chapter 35 of Goblet of Fire. I know it. I think it's 35. James McAvoy as Mad-Eye Moody as he's turning back into Barty Crouch Jr. and he's losing his freaking marbles. And he's going crazy on Harry, trying to figure out if the Death Eaters were forgiven by Voldemort. And he's freaking out. He sounds incredible. It's nothing like the movies or anything. It's just his own take on it. And James McAvoy is a top tier actor. And he really showed why in his voice acting. And I was losing my mind. I was laughing so hard. Not because it was funny, because of how good it was. And I replayed it like 6 times the first time I listened to it. And then I've listened to it like 20 times since because it's just my favorite part. I think it's my favorite scene out of all of the books. Well, that is all of the characters. Now I just want to go through and talk about each book. The first few I'll just cover real quick. The first one and the second one, great. The third one, again, like the books have so much in them that they didn't put in the films. And I don't even know if they're going to put them in the show. I have very low hopes for the show, and I have to, because if I don't and I get my hopes up, I'm going to be so disappointed. I think I'm already going to be disappointed with this show, but I'm not going to get too mad about it yet because I haven't seen it. But the books have so much material that they did not put in the movies, especially like Prisoner of Azkaban and the whole story with Lupin and him being a werewolf. That really bothered me. Goblet of Fire, for some reason, and it might just because of James McAvoy playing Barty Crouch Jr. and Mad-Eye Moody. It's not my favorite movie by any means. It might be one of my favorite books, though, because of the performances. Not as itself, but because of the performances. The whole stuff with Spew and Hermione and all of the elf right stuff, it gets old quick and it's boring. But it's a good book, I think. Order of Phoenix, again, my least favorite. There's a lot of just waiting around to see what's going to happen next with some of the elves, some of the Dolores Umbridge stuff, and a lot of pauses. And I think the movie did it pretty well of making it very... I think the movie did it well by cutting out a lot of excess stuff. For once, that was the other side of it. Like, sometimes the movies did a good thing, and there's a lot of stuff in Order of the Phoenix that was excess. I mean, I had it on 1.1 speed, and Order of Phoenix was 24 hours long. That's a long one. Then we have Half-Blood Prince, and we get Bill Nighy, another character I forgot about. Bill Nighy, who plays Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean. Him as Slughorn was also really good. He did a very well job, did his own thing on it, and he performed very well. Half-Blood Prince is one of my favorite movies and part of the whole story. So that was definitely one of my favorite books. And the end of Order of the Phoenix, actually, when Harry's going crazy and flipping out on Dumbledore, and Dumbledore releases some information to him, that was good. In Half-Blood Prince, there's more of all these memories. There's way more memories in the book than there is in the movie, where they're going back and seeing and trying to unfold and find mysteries of how Voldemort came to power and what he did. So we have like Slughorn's memories, Dumbledore's memories, Tom's memories that he has, and people that they interacted with along the way of Tom Riddle's life, and trying to figure out like who he is and how he got up to the point where we find out that he has the Horcruxes and that whole thing. So listening to each of those chapters where it's just like a memory in the pensive, fantastic. But then we get to the Deathly Hallow book, and oh my gosh, What an amazing book. It was something special. Now, the first half, like the movie, very slow, boring. They're trying to hunt down the Horcruxes. They're slowly going through the forests. Ron runs away. He's mad, blah, 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 blah. But the second half is where it kicks you. The movie butchered the second half of the 7th book, and it's criminal. It's really criminal what they removed. The whole Snape interaction, the memories of his in the pensive. I don't understand why they would remove so much. You make a longer movie. I don't know. Make it 3 parts. Eliminate some of the stuff in the first part. Like make it an hour and a half long. I don't know. They did not do it justice well. And then when we get to Harry and King's Cross talking to Dumbledore, that's a 50-minute chapter. And obviously you're not going to have 3 50-minute scenes of all the important stuff, but maybe you do. I don't know. And I guess that's the benefit of what this show will have if they go all the way, is having that time for an episode of just like literally the King's Cross. And then there's the final battle. In the movie, it's literally just Harry and Voldemort in the courtyard on their knees. No words, nothing, no confrontation. And then they walk inside and Slughorn's like, I have a hole in my robe. It's like, why? Then we have the book. Man, there's just a huge battle in the Great Hall of Hogwarts. And all of the Death Eaters, all of the other wizards stop to watch this happen. And Harry's laying out the whole thing to him, explaining to him, this is where you went wrong. This is how I'm the master of the Elder Wand. This, that, this. I was enjoying it so much, but I was mad because I have a great imagination. I can see it in my head, but I want to see it on the TV, right? I want to see it on the big screen, and I might never get that. And it's insane because he missed it so much. And then the whole thing, like in the movie, he breaks the Elder Wand and throws it off a bridge. No, in this, he's able to talk to Dumbledore through the painting in the headmaster's office. I love that. Oh, man. So he puts the Elder Wand back in the tomb, I'm assuming. And then but first he mends his own wand. And that's the end of the series. And it was so good. Oh, it was so good. And it makes me mad because I'm never going to be able to enjoy the last Harry Potter movie as much as I did. I already knew it was goofy to begin with after not even like knowing the books that well, but now I'm not going to be able to enjoy it as well because it's so crazy. I give from book 1. Okay, so we'll go from we got 1 through 4, 10 out of 10. Easy. 10 out of 10. Book 5, because of the story, it's a 9 out of 10. I'm not going to give it anything less than a 9. It's still a great performance. And then 6 and 7, 10. To be fair, let's just do this all right. The entire series is a 10 out of 10. From 1 to 7, 10 out of 10. It's so good. It's so good. And I do, because of these performances, I like them better than the movies. And I love the movies, and I'm always going to, but man, this was something special. Now, because Hollywood is just a dumpster fire, they're never going to make with this TV show that's coming up what they need to be. I don't understand why any corporate... I get you have to make some of the, theatrical flair for the movies and the shows. Word for word. Literally, there's a script in paper. You just put that in the film. There's nothing wrong with the script. J.K. Rowling has some things in there, and she's trying to change some things as they're being put. Don't change a thing. You can remove some things that don't need to be in the film, but don't change anything. Literally word for word in a show or a movie. It would be amazing. That is it. This audiobook series set the bar very high for full cast production performances for audiobooks. Next, I'm going to be listening to a series called Red Rising. It just went on sale on Audible a few weeks ago, and I bought the whole series. Aside from a couple that aren't out yet, I don't think it's going to be able to top this. But I got to give it like a week, a little fluff, because I'm still on my Harry Potter high right now for this, and nothing's going to top this, and it's going to be hard. I would love to have this in a Lord of the Rings fashion, even though Andy Serkis's Lord of the Rings audiobooks are perfect. A Lord of the Rings fashion, a Narnia fashion. I don't like the Twilight movies at all, but it's a story that's an interesting one. Not a huge vampire fan, but like that's another thing that they could just. I know that the books are better from people that have read them. I think they should do this for a lot of stuff, and I'm not sure if they're going to, but like I said, Harry Potter really set the bar, really did. Thank you for watching this video. I'll be honest, I have no idea when I'm going to put another video on this channel. Might not be for another year, who knows, but this was something big enough that I had to come on here and talk about it. And if you are watching this and you agree, tell me let's start a discussion. Put in the comments how you thought about it. If you want to listen to it, you definitely should. It's worth the money. I bought all of these and I'm going to listen to them forever. And when I'm done Red Rising, I'm going to go back and listen to these all over again. But thank you, and talk to you later.